Hey, Sip and Talkers. It's your host, Joe, and with me as always, Sunny.
Hey, Joe. What's up?
Hope you've grabbed another coffee because, wow, the news cycle today just kept rolling.
It really did. We had to come back for a second look.
Yeah, we've got this huge stack of updates we're talking. High-stakes finance, global politics, some pretty serious domestic gridlock, and even, believe it or not, a potential revolution in health policy.
It's definitely a global jigsaw puzzle today. Massive events unfolding. Think potential furloughs for nuclear stockpile staff, a tremor in the banking sector, really extraordinary diplomatic moves happening right now.
So our mission, same as always, connect the dots for you, cut through the noise, and give you the essential takeaways.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's unpack this. Starting on the geopolitical front. President Trump seems to be playing some really high-stakes diplomatic poker right now.
We're talking about that surprise 2-hour phone call he had today, October 16th, with President Putin.
Right, and that's just before he's scheduled to meet Ukrainian President Zelensky tomorrow, the 17th. The timing is intense.
It's critical. The stated goal here is ending this inglorious war, as they're calling it. And you can see why just last week, reports of over 7,000 casualties.
That number is just staggering. It really underscores the urgency.
Absolutely. So what's the leverage? How are they trying to get these sides to talk seriously?
Well, it looks like a classic carrot and stick situation.
Okay.
The carrot seems to be the potential for another big meeting, Trump and Putin, maybe within 2 weeks. They're floating Budapest. Hungary is the location.
And the stick.
Stick is huge. It's a massive escalation.
Yeah.
Trump is openly talking about giving Ukraine advanced long-range Tomahawk cruise missiles.
Wow. Tomahawks.
Yeah, to try and force a ceasefire.
Okay. Tomahawks are a genuine game changer, right? We're not just talking defense here. These things can hit targets deep behind enemy lines.
Exactly. Precision strikes. Think major Russian logistics hubs, military staging areas, deep inside Russian-held territory, potentially even Russia itself. Moscow, predictably, has warned this would be a severe escalation.
It just raises the stakes incredibly high. If those are actually on the negotiating table, even as a threat, it shows a willingness to give Ukraine the power to fundamentally alter the war's dynamics. Like overnight.
Meanwhile, what's the word from Putin's side?
Reports suggest he's holding firm, still aiming, apparently, to secure the complete conversion, let's call it, of those 4 Ukrainian provinces into Russia before agreeing to any real stop in the fighting.
And layered underneath all this diplomacy, there's an economic angle too, right? Trying to squeeze Russia's finances.
Yeah, Trump claimed he got a promise from India to stop buying Russian oil.
Oh, right. That was right after the U.S. jacked up tariffs on Indian goods, wasn't it? From 25% to 50%.
That's the one. Hardball trade policy meets foreign policy. Definitely pressure politics. India is a critical customer for Russian oil right now.
So did India confirm this promise?
Well, that's the interesting part. India's foreign ministry quickly came out and denied any knowledge of that specific promise.
So maybe more of a political signal than a done deal.
It kind of looks that way. You know, a powerful talking point maybe aimed at Moscow, maybe aimed at audiences back home, suggesting the economic pressure is working, even if the details aren't quite locked down.
Okay, speaking of high-stakes signaling and unusual moves.
Yeah.
We absolutely have to talk about Venezuela. The White House actually confirmed a covert operation publicly.
Yeah, that's what really stunned a lot of experts. I mean, the whole point of a covert op is, well, it's supposed to be secret, right? Untraceable back to the U.S., giving you plausible deniability.
So what's the target here?
It's aimed at alleged drug boats and Nicolas Maduro's government, which the U.S. calls the illegitimate regime. The goal is combating drug cartels.
But why confirm it? Why say the quiet part out loud?
That's the million-dollar question. It seems to shift to the operations purpose. It's not just about the action itself anymore. It becomes about the signal.
Okay.
By confirming it, the administration makes sure the cartels and the Maduro regime know the U.S. is actively involved. Maybe deploying advisors, specialized gear, who knows? They want the targets to know they're being targeted.
So it changes the deterrence calculation.
Exactly. It's a really unusual break from standard intelligence practice. You just don't usually see this kind of thing acknowledged openly.
All right, so from intense international pressure and signaling, let's pivot back home. Because that pressure seems to be manifesting in some let's say, interesting ways within the U.S. justice system, too.
Yeah, here's where it gets really interesting domestically. Another high-profile indictment from the Justice Department.
This time, the target is former National Security Advisor John Bolton.
Right. Charged by a federal grand jury in Maryland over his handling of classified documents.
And Bolton, I mean, he's been one of President Trump's most vocal fiercest critics,
Yeah.
right, famously said Trump was unfit for office.
He definitely has, and this makes him the third high-profile political opponent indicted in less than a month. We saw Jim Comey, Letitia James, now Bolton.
So connecting those dots.
Yeah.
What are people saying?
Well, you look at that sequence, and a lot of observers immediately start talking about political retribution, a vendetta campaign even.
The concern isn't necessarily about the specifics of each case, then.
Not entirely. It's more about the bigger picture, the institutional risk. When it looks like the DOJ is repeatedly targeting the administration's loudest critics, it raises serious questions about impartiality. Is the system being used for justice or for vengeance?
And that erodes public trust, which is dangerous.
That's the core danger, absolutely.
Okay, so while the justice system is grappling with all that, the rest of the U.S. government is basically paralyzed.
Pretty much. The shutdown hit day 16 today. It's getting dangerously close to being the fourth longest in U.S. history.
And still no compromise in sight.
Doesn't look like it. And the real-world impacts are starting to bite, and bite hard.
I saw that warning from the Energy Secretary.
Yeah, really stark. Staff who maintain the nuclear weapons stockpile, they're set to run out of funds. Furloughs could start early next week.
Wow. Okay, that's not just bureaucratic inconvenience anymore. That's
national security, our strategic deterrent. It really elevates the stakes of this shutdown.
And the political blame game is just getting louder, I assume.
Oh, absolutely. Speaker Johnson, the Republican leader, is blaming Democrats, says they have no plan, it's all political theater.
And the Democrats.
Congresswoman Davis, for example, publicly accused the speaker of dereliction of duty, said he's refusing to even call a session to vote on potential solutions.
Highlighting the anxiety for federal workers.
Exactly. Tens of thousands of families stressed, missing paychecks, all because of this political standoff. It just, highlights this current inability to actually govern effectively.
Okay, shifting gears again, abruptly, from government gridlock to financial markets.
Yeah.
Because we saw some significant wobbles today that seem to confirm an old fear. People are calling it the cockroach effect in banking.
That's right. Markets sputtered a bit, S&P 500 down. It was triggered by renewed volatility in some regional banks. Specifically, Zions and Western Alliance were mentioned.
And what was the issue there?
They disclosed some pretty significant loan problems, and it seems like some of it might stem from alleged internal fraud.
Okay, but the cockroach idea, that connects back to Jamie Dimon's warning, right? That finding one problem suggests more are hiding.
Exactly. The idea is you see one cockroach, you don't assume it's the only one. This volatility sort of confirms that analysis. The issue isn't just the specific fraud, maybe, but what it suggests about lending standards during the recent bull market.
So the market's asking, did banks take on too much risk, especially lending to these non-bank financial institutions?
Precisely. Those non-banks operate with less regulatory oversight. If they get into trouble, it loops right back to the regional banks that funded them. That's how you get sector-wide jitters, systemic risk.
Okay, wow. Now, let's completely change the mood, because there was also this massive kind of unexpected announcement from the White House, a potential revolution in IVF drug pricing.
Yeah, this is huge news for a lot of families, a major effort to make fertility treatments more affordable. IVF, as you know, is incredibly expensive, can be upwards of $25,000 for just one cycle.
And a huge chunk of that is the drugs, right?
A massive chunk. And the cost difference is staggering, often 700% higher here in the U.S. compared to other developed countries for the same drugs.
So what's the administration doing? How are they tackling this?
They're using a strategy called Most Favored Nation pricing, or MFN, and combining it with tariffs to really force manufacturers to cut those prices drastically.
Okay, break down MFN pricing for us. How does that work?
Sure. So think of it like this. MSN pricing basically forces a drug company to sell its product in the U.S. at the lowest price it charges in any comparable developed nation, say Germany, France, Canada.
So it bypasses the whole U.S. pricing structure.
Completely. And this pressure apparently worked. EMD Serono, which is the biggest player in fertility drugs, agreed to list their drugs on this new government website, TrumpErix.gov, at heavily reduced prices.
And the practical impact, what's the estimated saving?
They're estimating it could cut the drug cost per cycle by around 73% off the list price.
73%. That is genuinely life-altering for couples struggling with infertility.
It absolutely is. And that's not even the only piece of this.
How else?
The FDA is also setting up something called a National Priority Voucher Program. The idea is to fast-track approval for really innovative, critical drugs.
Like what kind of drugs?
Think novel diabetes treatments, maybe even gene therapies for things like deafness, or, importantly, drugs that are manufactured entirely here in the U.S.
So cutting down the red tape for priority meds.
Yeah, they're talking about slashing review times from over a year down to potentially just weeks for these specific items.
And there was something about insurance coverage, too.
Right. They've created a new legal pathway so employers can offer supplemental fertility insurance, kind of like how they offer vision or dental plans now.
Which is a big deal, considering most employers currently don't offer any IVF coverage, right?
Yeah, something like 70% offer none. So this is a major push towards improving access, maybe even boosting birth rates. It's a really significant government intervention focused on something incredibly fundamental.
It really shows what government can do when there's political will, doesn't it? Especially compared to the gridlock we were just talking about.
Quite the contrast, yeah.
Okay, let's move across the globe now, look at some global narratives. China's put out a new TV drama, Silent Glory.
Yeah, and this is basically pure state-approved political messaging wrapped up as entertainment.
What's the story?
It's based on real Chinese Communist Party spies who were operating in Taiwan back around 1949. And the show portrays them as, heroes, martyrs who sacrificed everything for national unification.
Okay, but the historical context here is key, isn't it? The KMT, the nationalists who ended up in Taiwan, they lost the mainland civil war, partly because of deep CCP infiltration.
Exactly. So from the KMT perspective, or Taiwan's current government perspective, this show isn't celebrating heroes, it's glorifying traitors who undermined their side back then.
So it's really about reinforcing that Taiwan must return narrative for audiences inside China.
Pretty much. Chinese state media is claiming the show is hot in Taiwan, but, take that with a grain of salt. It's likely mostly internal propaganda, boosting the unification message for sympathetic ears. Widespread viewing in Taiwan itself, probably doubtful. But the message is crystal clear. Sacrifice for unification is noble.
All right, finally, let's jump to Silicon Valley. This slightly bizarre ethical term with OpenAI, moving into generating intimate content.
Yeah, it's fascinating, mainly because of the contradiction.
What do you mean?
Well, CEO Sam Altman got some criticism because this pivot towards potentially very profitable adult content comes just weeks after he was publicly talking up AI's potential to, cure cancer.
Yeah, the juxtaposition is something. Curing cancer 1 minute, generating adult entertainment the next.
Right. But the market potential is huge, obviously. Billions in revenue potentially would certainly prove AI's commercial viability to investors fast.
But the ethical questions are massive.
Huge. This is maybe the first really big test case for AI governance in this kind of sensitive area. Can companies actually manage and ensure healthy, intimate AI relationships? Or does this just normalize what critics are calling a deformed fusion of tech and desire?
And you've got immediate legal worries, too, I imagine. Copyright.
Oh, yeah. Using real people's likenesses without permission. That's a minefield. And then the potential for psychological harm lawsuits from users forming these intense AI relationships. It's pushing ethical boundaries way faster than any regulations can keep up.
So, okay, let's try and wrap our heads around all this. We've bounced from potential Tomahawk missiles in Ukraine to political indictments here, banking wobbles, a huge IVF cost cut, Chinese propaganda, and AI girlfriends. What ties it all together?
It feels like we're seeing these two big themes converging, maybe. On one hand, you have this profound sense of institutional breakdown domestically, the shutdown, the questions around the DOJ's impartiality.
Right. Gridlock and distrust.
But then, juxtaposed against that, you see these examples of massive, seemingly effective government intervention in very specific areas, like forcing down IVF drug prices.
It's a strange mix of paralysis and hyper-focused action.
Exactly. Which leaves us with maybe a final provocative thought for everyone listening.
Lay it on us.
The government is intervening pretty radically in health markets to lower the cost of creating life, literally making babies cheaper. At the exact same moment, arguably the most profitable, or at least the most attention-grabbing initial application of the next wave of AI seems to be generating adult entertainment.
So where do we actually want our collective intelligence, human and artificial, focused over the next decade? Making life or making something else?
It's definitely something to chew on. As always, we encourage you to use this information, think critically, form your own opinions. We haven't criticized or taken sides here, just laid out the facts as reported.
Absolutely. We hope this breakdown was useful. If you found value in it, please consider subscribing to The Deep Dive.
And also, check out our old friend Mickey's YouTube channel, Mickytolife. He's got fun memes, spirits tasting, the latest European travel vlogs, good stuff.
Yeah, definitely check Mickey out. Okay, that's all for this edition. Thanks for tuning in to Sip and Talk.
We'll catch you next time.